I wanted to go back to school. I had kids and I wanted to go back to school. I wanted to study finance. And so I started back at school and studied finance, accounting, economics. I got really excited about all that stuff. And then I did internships because I didn't know what I wanted to do exactly. I just knew I had all this education that I wanted to use. So I got an internship with a business valuation firm. One of the first things I ever did in college, toward the end of college, and I decided this is it. This is what I love to do, I want to do. I called home that first day on the job and I said, I found it. Business valuation uses all the aspects of everything that I loved about learning in school. So it's finance, it's accounting, it's economics, it's business management, it's getting to know the business team, the people who operate the business, their customers. It's all about business, and you take all of that information and you put it together and you find a value for the business. What would somebody pay for this business as it's built, with all of its history and with all of what it could be in the future? I'll tell you that my kids call me the cannabis queen, which is an odd thing to be called by your children. About 4 years ago, I was in Denver visiting my sister and went out to lunch with some of her friends. And a lot of her friends are in their 70s. And sitting around a table, I asked at the table, so what do you ladies think about cannabis being legal in Colorado? They didn't answer my question. What they said was, well, I like to smoke it because it gets at my pain quicker. And the next lady said, I don't like to smoke it. I like edibles, especially gummies, because it's a gentler way of taking the medicine. All of the ladies all around the table were using cannabis for one reason or another. I don't think any one of them said, I just like to get high. All of them were using it for medicine. So I thought there just has to be something to this. So I started exploring it. I started reading and researching and talking to people. And then I started applying that interest, that fascination with the cannabis industry into what I love to do, which is value businesses. So I've been doing that for 4 years, doing research into the industry. Since valuation is my thing, and because there is very little information on how to value a cannabis business, I started putting that together and doing research. And the research became a publication, which became 2 publications when I divided it into ancillary and plant touching. And just last year, I added a third, I divided out a third segment, business segment. So now we're looking at hemp as a business segment. So it's all about how companies are valued, how publicly traded companies are valued, how private companies are valued in acquisitions, and now adding hemp with the Farm Bill passing in late 2018. With that passage of the Farm Bill, now hemp is legal. Completely legal. It's unscheduled. It's no longer a Schedule I substance, and so people are going to be able to grow it in big fields in the farm belt of this country. Hot button. One of the hot buttons is banking. Banking is going to be, until cannabis is unscheduled federally, all of it. Banking will be an issue because banks tend to be federal. They deposit, ultimately the funds are deposited federally. And so if there's no banking, businesses in this industry, certainly the ones that touch the plant, they're getting paid in cash. They have a problem with all that cash. You can only put it in a safe and bigger safes so long. Eventually you have to try to get it in the banking system. And that's a real problem for companies. A lot of the largest ones are Canadian companies. They're publicly traded in Canada, and cannabis is legal in Canada, completely legal. So they're able to bank and be publicly traded companies much more easily in Canada. So that's been a benefit to being in Canada. In the U.S., at least there are some U.S. banks, usually state banks, that will allow cannabis to be banked within their system. There are regulations that you can file an 8300 report on cash that you receive in a transaction. You can do all the things that you would normally do if it were federally legal. You pay your taxes in cash. You can pay your federal taxes in cash. So companies that are operating strictly legally within the state's regulations, they're doing really well. The companies that aren't doing that yet are trying to become legal. So they work with companies like SingerLewak in order to fill in the financial statements that they should have had all along. Mm-hmm. They're working on paying their taxes, maybe back taxes, with the help of companies like SingerLewak. That's really beneficial to them. There is. Absolutely, M&A is hot right now. Companies that are cannabis companies that are operating federally or state legal, they have licenses, they have a location where they can operate, they are doing everything right, they are ripe for being acquired by a bigger company, because a bigger company wants to grow, wants to get bigger, and so they will look at acquiring companies that are operating as legal as they could possibly be, and generating revenue, generating profit, and as long as they keep doing that, there's going to be pressure to buy companies like this. Absolutely. Family banks or family funds, they are very interested in acquiring companies or even providing lending. So it's not all equity. Many companies in the cannabis industry, they're taking equity investment, but they're also more and more trying to get loans, either short-term or take-out loans, so that they don't keep diluting their ownership interest in their own company. If you keep taking equity rounds of equity financing, you're diluting your initial ownership in the company. But lenders are very leery, certainly banks, but lenders, even private money lenders, are very leery about how much money they're willing to lend. They generally require and get higher interest rates for making loans into the cannabis industry. Well, you can, depending on the state that you're in, California has its own rules. Other states where it's state legal have their own rules. In some states, you can be vertically integrated, which means you can grow, you can process, you can distill, you can make into edibles, you can operate in all different levels. In some states, really all you can do is grow if you're going to grow, or you can have a retail if you're going to have retail. So looking at state-by-state rules. And more than that, even if it's legal like California, within the state of California, recreationally legal, you still have to comply with county regulations, with local city regulations, and if an area doesn't want you to be there, if the landowners, homeowners in that area don't want you to be there, you're not going to be there. You have to find what people are calling green zones, zones in the city or the county where the officials have decided it's okay to have a cannabis operation there.